of it all, untouchable, a new animal. This is how legends are made. This is how legends are made. This is how legends are made.
Hey guys, what's going on? This is Jeremy LaRose. Welcome to another video of LSH Live. So glad you're here. Today we're going to be analyzing the 3-year-old and over $2,500 novice horse Open Western Pleasure Stakes from the 2018 Congress. So this class is for horses that are 3 years old and over that have won less than $2,500. This is an open pleasure stakes, so these are open level riders. So this is a trainer's class riding green horses. So horses have not won that much. I wanted to go over this to train your guys' eye, right? So if you've been following along, we've been trying to teach you guys how to identify what is a good mover, what does it take to win at this level, and how can we get our horses there. So to me, it takes a fundamental understanding of what is my horse doing underneath and how can I fix that, right? What is more or less correct? And that's something that's going to take a long time to figure out. If you've been following along with the Katie Joe story on Facebook, she posted a rant, I guess, about Western Pleasure and how it needs to change. So this is as of 2018. Hopefully she got the ball rolling and things will change a lot in the coming days. It needs to. I'll just flat out say that. I'm a firm believer that the Western Pleasure class needs to be the foundation for our all-around horses. So I think the top 1% of this class, like Katie Joe said, I absolutely agree with her. The top 1% of this class is amazing. Those horses are bred to do this. They're incredible. It's so hard to compare yourself to those horses. However, if we allow this class to go forward and we don't penalize people for moving out and instead see that as a positive thing, then our horses will look better as a whole. So it's the horses that are below third place really that we have an issue with. And you'll see that some in this class, that there was a horse that was moving out. Chase Barnes was on a horse that was moved out. It looked free, it looked happy, it looked true, and he got rewarded and he got penalized. So there's a couple horses in this class that I thought should have been a lot higher than they were, just based on what you can see in this video. I mean, who knows what kind of problems they had elsewhere, but from where we can see in front of these trucks, there's a lot of horses in this class that did not get rewarded for what they should have, and that's where the problem of this class lies. So I want to show you guys which horses I prefer and why, and what I see, so we can kind of look at our horses and say, this horse is doing it correctly versus this horse is not. So having that base knowledge goes a long way towards analyzing your ride and improving your placings at the show. So there are always going to be shows that you go to where you get one judge or two judges and they just flat out get it wrong. And that's why the 4-judge system at the Congress, where they drop your low score, it really kind of balances out a bit. But even that being said, I always encourage my clients, my riders, to not be results oriented. And what we mean by that is, I'm a big poker player. So even in poker, ace, pocket aces are the best starting hand you can have. They're 85% to win against any two cards. And as the number of opponents goes up, that odds goes down. So if there's 8 people, your pocket aces are only 31% to win. So once out of every 3 times you're going to win if there's more than 8 people in the hand. And that's the best hand that you can start with. So I look at horses the same way. Even if you go out there with the best horse in the class, what are your odds of winning given any random judge and any random horses in the class, right? So even though you might be doing the right thing by going into the hand because you have the best probability, or going into the class because you have the horse that's loping correctly, you're not going to win all of the time. So don't go out there and be like, oh, I did what Jeremy told me to do, and I was moving true, and I was correct, and I didn't place well. You got to increase your sample size. So these are winning overall. What I tell people to do is don't go out there and be the freakiest horse in the class, because you're going to be so polarizing to people. What I want to go out there and do is appeal to the widest range of judges that I can. And to me, the way to do that is to be free and true and clean and look pleasant. I think that's going to be the best way to go out there and appeal to the greatest range of judges, because the thing to remember about these horses is you can train them to exactly where you want them to be and then go out there and show and the judge not like you. So you might have the perfect ride in your eyes and still not get used because you're getting judged by a person standing in the middle whose tastes may or may not be like yours. So the way to overcome that, get your horse consistent and clean. So we're going to go over this class a bit here. We're going to identify which horses are consistent and clean and show you guys what that looks like so you can identify that in your own riding at home. Where can I put my horse that it can carry itself and be consistent and clean? Because those are the things that are going to appeal to the widest range of judges. I tell people all the time, don't go out there and give them a reason not to like you. So if you're sacrificing top line for speed, or you're sacrificing front end for speed, or you're sacrificing back end for speed, you're doing it wrong in our opinion. So when you're going out there and showing, if your horse needs to move on a little bit to look better, please do so. We are actively working to change it in the industry. Your response on Facebook, your response to these videos, your response to Katie Joe's post, all give us ammunition to take to the associations and be like, hey, look, this is what's got to change, because we don't want our horses to look like this anymore. So we are going to personally show our horses a bit more free and forward and off the rail, and we're going to see if we get rewarded for it. It'll be an interesting experiment. Because we own our own horses, we can do that. We can go out there, and if we lose horribly, that's just the way it is. And we're going to post the videos to Facebook, and we're going to say, you explain it to us, AQHA. So that's where we're at. That being said, we'll go over this class a bit. We'll take a look at these horses and see what we like and don't like about them. So we're going to start off here to the left. We're going to take a look at each one of these horses individually and go from there as far as how our placings went. And this horse right here in the red, Chase Barnes, this is the horse I was talking about, where his horse is free and out and true and clean. And that, to me, is probably what they're looking for in Western Pleasure class. It's maybe a little too pokey in its nose for me, but it's definitely that free and true that they talk about. So we have the 7th place horse here. I really like this horse. So it's got good flow, good expression, and you see where it's 10th, 2nd, 10th, and a gate. So that horse, if it had placed a little bit higher under that second judge, I don't know if she had a bobble or what, but I really like that horse. If we take a look at Angie's here, what happens is that outside hind is stepping too far forward. So you see where it crosses in front of its inside hind. We don't want that to happen. If we want to get that good skip behind, we got to have a horse that will not cross in front of its inside hind. We see Chase is here in 2nd place. He's on the roan on the inside. 2nd, gate 4th. And this is what I was talking about with that pokiness in its face. It's got great expression, good top line, good flow. That 3rd judge didn't like him one iota, which is too bad, really, because he had a great ride. But the 1st place horse was first under all 4 judges, so wouldn't have mattered if he'd placed higher under that 3rd judge or not. But I don't see any reason why in this class that horse ends up anywhere near the bottom of the pile. At least not if they're trying to say that we want to see horses moved up. So on the back side of this, and it's hard to see, that's Randy Wilson on the 1st place horse. It's doing the same thing Chase's is doing. It's just a bit more round. So it doesn't quite get as long in its bridle. It stays a little bit more compact. So, and we see it the 2nd direction. I didn't like it as much the 2nd direction. Probably could have had those 2 placings reversed, but a bold move to give Chase 2nd because he was the only one in the class that was actually moving out and free and true. So kudos to the judges that used him high. Probably could have seen him be a little bit higher. Hard to say whether one's better than the other, though. Chase's really reminds me of that older style Western Pleasure horse where they just kind of went out there and they galloped around and they looked like they could do a lot of things. It would probably be challenging to take Chases and make an all-rounder out of it. So I don't mind seeing Randy's place a little bit higher here because it was a little bit more captured up, and I do want to see that in an all-around horse. So the level of training you would need on Chases to make it an all-around horse where it packs a bridle and it goes around and does the horsemanship or the Western riding, probably a little bit more challenging. So as we move into this next group of horses, we've got a horse on the outside that's a little bit flat on the outside front. And this is what that looks like. So when we talk about how that outside front has got to go up and down and not step forward, this is what happens when they take a long step up front. The horse on the inside, using its neck a little bit here, that's what we talked about when we said we wanted a horse that turkeyed around, right? So it's using its neck to pull up its outside front. It's forward, it's true, it's clean. I like it a lot. It just uses its neck a little bit more than the other horses, ends up fifth overall. The gray horse on the inside here, we see that inside front stepping toe heel. So we see that stubbing that inside front. You see dirt scuff up in front of it. That's one of the issues that we talked about before, where we want that horse to land full and flat, make a full stride. It's just a little off balance, falling down in its front end, and that causes it to land toe heel instead of heel toe, and to get that full extension of its front leg. The horse on the outside in the red carries its head a little bit towards the rail. So it's got its face into the rail over its outside front. You see two judges really offended by that, gave it 2 gates, but a 4th and 6th on the other judges. I can see that. It's good-legged. It's round. It's certainly using itself well, but in my opinion, I guess, got punished for carrying its head over to the right. Horse on the inside, the big tall horse, I really like this horse. I'm not sure what happened, how he ended up with 3 gates and a 14th. We see a lot of the same style of movement where he's up and free and swinging. Certainly a huge horse, moving at the speed he needs to move. Nothing about his movement offends me. He's shown well. He doesn't seem to be running off. And this is probably the biggest example of why the Western Pleasure, we talk about how they got to be able to move forward, because this horse is true. And to me, it only gets punished because it's big and it's moving out. And I don't know about that. I feel like if we're going to give Chase credit for moving out, we have to give this horse credit for moving out as well. And he certainly shouldn't end up with 3 gates and a 14th. Definitely could be argued that it's not as round. However, yeah, it's hard for me to see that low of placings in this class. Big bay horse here, doing a nice job. Maybe a little bit intimidating in its face, kind of packs the bridle a little tighter than I'd like to see, but a good horse overall. And again, doing one of those things that doesn't offend me anywhere. The bay horse here on the wall, I really like this horse. It's a shame that she had some problems going to the right, but a nice horse here, doing a good job. Would have probably ended up somewhere on 5th or 6th for me overall, but a couple problems. Our 3rd place horse, certainly very, very tight, very round. This is the lift that we talk about, the rock back that we're talking about, doing something that not a lot of the horses in the class are doing, which makes it hard to judge. But this is probably what we're trying to move away from, is this style of movement. This horse is capable of doing it, but there are going to be a lot of horses, if you try to mimic this, that are not able to do that. So we want to be able to show our horses free and true and not be compared against this, because this is hard to do. And you see that kind of reflect in the horse's face, where it's a little bit unhappy with the bridle, kind of pins its ears a little bit, gaps the mouth, and just not as pleasant to watch overall. And then this horse behind it, this 12th place horse, would have liked to have seen this horse move up. So this is a good example of why pleasure horses should be allowed to move on a little bit. If we let this horse move on, it maybe doesn't get as stubby up front and it matches more evenly front to back. And that's a good thing in my opinion. Let this horse go on a little bit so it's not forced to be in that box, and maybe we see its legs clean up. The big black horse here on the inside, again, really talented horse, really good legged, just a little bit fiery for this class. Would like to see that rhythm slow down just a little bit. The rhythm slow down. I don't want to see him sacrifice speed, just hold the ground a little bit longer. Looks like the horse is a little bit upset, showed a little bit fast today. But certainly a talented horse. I liked it a lot. The red horse on the inside here, really good legged, showed forward like Chase's. I really liked it. It pulls down into the bridle a little bit, kind of gaps its mouth, and I think that hurt it a little bit in the end. But a good horse, and I really thought I should have done better. Maybe a little bit sticky behind. Would like to see it just rock up underneath itself a little bit harder like Chase's. But the same style of horse, the same style of movement. So maybe not executed as well, but definitely the same style. Our 13th place horse doing something very similar to what our 3rd place horse was doing, the same style of horse where it's rolled up really hard. This one a little bit quicker off its front end, maybe a little bit less happy about that position. Again, a good case for if we move this horse out and let it go on, would it look better? We don't know, but there's certainly a world where if we let this horse go on, maybe it doesn't get so funky with its outside front, and it keeps it underneath itself, splits its legs a little bit harder. It's a super talented horse, gorgeous, pretty, but in that particular shape, it just doesn't look that happy. That's it for today's video, guys. I hope this helps. I hope you guys get a better understanding of this class and kind of the nuances that go along with it. Remember, I'm not a judge. This is just my personal opinion from years and years of watching this and trying to understand this class. So this is what I've seen over the years. This is what we're trying to do. I'm going to put a link to Katie Joe's post so you guys can see that. And if you liked it, share, comment, talk, get involved in that discussion. Feel free on Facebook. This is for you guys. We're trying to change the game a little bit. Thank you so much to our new subscribers. We got a lot of new people coming in. Thank you so much to you guys for making this all possible. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd be doing. I love this stuff. Love you guys. Hope you have a great week. I will see you in the next video.